there's no job security in trucking. And let me go a little bit more in depth on what I mean by that. Job security to me means having a job where the potential of you losing that job under any circumstances doesn't exist. Now, I know I have a lot of truck drivers who may be a part of a union. You guys are pro-union. You work for a company that's unionized. I get it, and salute to all of you. But we've already seen examples of even truck drivers that were a part of a union lost their jobs and or laid off. So again, that goes back to my original point. When you're working for someone else, the possibility of you losing that job is always present. Listen, anytime you're working for somebody else, there can always be some sort of a disruption either within the company or in the economy that could have a negative effect on your employment. And so in the event that something like that happens, a company may have to say, in order for us to save the company, we have to cut jobs, or we have to decrease the amount of hours that these employees are working. Or maybe we have to lay off some employees for a certain period of time in order for us to become profitable again. And I'm saying all these things to make a point that there are a lot of things that are out of your control when you're working for a company. And a company is going to do what's in the best interest of the company, even if that means letting go of some employees. And so it's all business at the end of the day. It is what it is. I'm just telling you that these are the realities of working for somebody else. I think the only true sense of security comes from being self-employed. Nobody can terminate you, and nobody can lay you off if you work for yourself. Now, I know in today's culture, it seems to be trending to quit your job. A lot of people don't want to work jobs these days. I don't know about you guys, but I run across so many videos where I see people saying, look, I quit my job, or I quit my 9-to-5. And when I watch these videos, the main reasoning behind them quitting is because they just don't want to work for nobody. I'm not mad at those people that decide to quit their job. If you're someone who don't like the idea of working for somebody, then entrepreneurship definitely should be something that you could or should consider. The only thing I would say to that is, I think a lot of people quit their jobs and they have absolutely no plan. They don't know what they're gonna do. They just know that they don't want to go in and clock in and work for somebody else, but they don't know where to go from there. They're not strategic about what it is they're gonna do next. And I would just say, if you want to quit your job, at least have a plan in place as to what's going to be your next move. But that's another conversation for another day. That's not what this video about, and I really want to stay on topic. So with all that being said about job security and how I think it doesn't exist in trucking, that doesn't mean that you can't have job stability. I know there are truck drivers watching this video right now who have been with their employers or the company they work for a decade or more, right? 10 years, 15, 20 plus years. A lot of you have been employed with the same company for that long period of time. And as a W-2 employee, I think a lot of people would say you're fortunate enough to be with a company that long, because that just doesn't exist. Especially nowadays, you see people getting let go, seems like every other week. Companies doing layoffs or, you know, letting go hundreds of employees. We see that all the time. I do think there are some good companies out there, right? I do think there are companies that really try their best to take care of their employees in terms of compensation, in terms of benefits, etc. There are a lot of benefits to work for somebody, working for a company. And I just think it's all about how you manage that. Hopefully the company that you work for, you have a retirement account, so you're able to contribute to that. Maybe the company you work for has a company match, so you're getting free money towards your retirement. I think that's a benefit. You know, maybe you're able to use income to invest in your portfolio if you have one. Maybe you're using some of your income to invest in a business, right? Maybe you do want to become an entrepreneur. By having a job, it allows you to be able to do some of these things I just mentioned. When I think about job security, I think about my own situation that I experienced working for a company for 15 years and then being laid off. There was someone who I worked with, which was my bookkeeper at the time. She had been with a company for 40 plus years. She started when she was like 19 years old. When I left the company, she was in her 60s. And she didn't get laid off when I got laid off in 2018, but I heard she got laid off a couple years later, right? You can argue and say, man, after 40 plus years, you would think someone would have retired by that point. But again, as we all know, a lot of people aren't necessarily able to retire at quote unquote retirement age. We've even seen retirees having to get back in the workforce because they just don't have enough Social Security to cover their monthly expenses. That's one of the reasons why I try to put emphasis on investing and just being smart with your money, right? I don't think anybody want to necessarily end up in those type of situations when you are in your 60s, 70s, or even older and having to work, right? There's a difference between having to work and wanting to work. And we know that some people actually are in a position to retire at that age, but they want to work because they just want to stay active, or maybe they get bored at home, right? That's the position you want to be in, where you can make that decisions on whether or not you have to work, right? You don't want to necessarily be forced to because you have to take care of your monthly expenses. And so it's just about being smart with your money, man. But when it comes to these trucking jobs, guys, or just working for somebody in general, just always know subconsciously that anything can happen at any time, and never get too comfortable. Shout out to all the good companies out there that do, once again, take care of their employees, or at least try their best to. It's not a lot of companies out there that fit the mold, and hopefully you're able to find one of those companies. But just know anything can happen. I don't care how long you've been with a company. When it comes to trucking and you think about longevity and job stability, you really have to look at the job that you're doing in the trucking industry, right? I think when you're doing something like specialized freight, or you're doing, you know, some of the jobs that a lot of people don't necessarily like to do or can do, I think those are some of the jobs that have more job stability. Get your credentials, your endorsements, right? Get all of those. Just make yourself more valuable. So if anything were to happen to your current job, whatever it is that you're doing, and you have to pivot, you don't have to worry about going out here and getting your endorsements when you already have them, right? So if you see a job opening, if you already have the credentials needed for that job, you can go ahead and apply. You don't have to procrastinate because you have to go get endorsements, right? And risk losing that opportunity. If you already have what you need, you can go ahead and apply and hopefully give yourself a better chance to get that job. And so that's the mindset I think you have to have when it comes to trucking. Always be ready for the next thing if need be. I don't want to dismiss any driver out there watching this video that's working for a good company. If you're working for a good company, salute to you. Take advantage of everything that that company is offering. All I'm saying is, just don't be too complacent. Don't be too comfortable. Always know anything can happen when you work for somebody else. Let me know what you guys think about this video. What are your thoughts on job security and trucking? Drop it in the comments section. Look, until the next video, I'll catch you guys on the next one, man. Y'all take care. Peace.